Hey, what's up, everybody? Q here with Project Nerd, and it is time again for the Lions Film Fest. Now, this time, I know you thought you were going to be sitting in a chair in person in a theater watching these films, but no, we're going digital again, and that's okay because Project Nerd is bringing you digital coverage again. And I am joined today by Mr. Kyle Lawrence. Hey, Kyle, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for joining us. Now you have a film that is playing the Lions Film Fest. It is called No Internet. And I'm going to be honest, you showed me the trailer and the poster beforehand, and this movie looks awesome. Like what a perfectly current film. And so people aren't wondering what I'm talking about. Would you mind giving just a quick little breakdown of what the film is about?
Yeah, totally. So it's basically it's about this group of teens that have to go an entire year without the internet, which is already kind of a mind-boggling. But then basically these teens they'd come to discover that there's this clandestine organization working in the shadows that's pulling the strings here. And it really becomes up to them to save their town. So it's really fun, adventure. You just kind of lighthearted, but some cool. Try to make it as cool as we can. But yeah, it was fun.
Sure. That sounds awesome. And I couldn't think of a more appropriate time. Like literally our
Yeah.
lives are tethered by the internet right now.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so now when did you make this film? Like when did you actually write and direct this?
So I started writing in 2019,
Okay.
and then directed it June and July of 2020. So we
My
were one
gosh.
of the first films of any notable size to
Sure.
resume filming once the industry shut down in Vancouver back in March of 2020.
Sure. And what was that like? What was it like kind of getting back to set?
It was interesting. It was very strange, and it was very strange just gauging the comfort level of everyone getting back to set,
Sure.
and kind of being one of the first to really come back. And it was really cool though because we had a lot of just really experienced 20-30 year veterans in film who were working on big shows, and myself or the DP knew them, and they were just bored at home with nothing to do, so they were willing to come out and just help out with this project. So I think it was it was really cool to have just so many really talented and experienced individuals that were just had no cares that in the world that it was a freebie, but it was just, hey, I'm just bored, I want to do something. So
Sure.
it was awesome.
No,
Yeah,
I mean that's awesome. What a great opportunity.
totally.
And I mean you can tell by the trailer alone, and we'll have a link to that as well, but by the trailer alone, I mean the quality of your film, I mean it looks like any other
Thank
blockbuster
you.
out
Yeah,
there. Now I
thanks.
will say that in whether intended or not, I'm sure it was, but I there is a bit of a kind of a Stranger Things kids on bikes 80s-ish
Oh
vibe
yeah,
about it,
yeah,
but obviously dealing with a very 20th century
yeah.
problem, right? Like they're dealing with a very modern issue.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
did did you, as a filmmaker, I find it funny that you started writing in 2019, which, to be fair,
Well, to be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
the internet was already pretty integrated into everyone's lives.
Totally.
But did you stop and think at the irony of the situation as you were filming it that you're like, here I am writing a movie about no internet, and of course it's bad for these teens, but can you imagine what that would be like on a
Yeah.
mass scale right now? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
definitely. Like it was funny because it was just very timely. And I kind of I had this idea originally and was writing it and working on it for a while and just kind of playing with it. And then as we were filming, it was like, oh, this is it's a much bigger deal now because already you can imagine everyone kind of has a reason why they were already tethered to the internet. We rely on as many negatives as could come out of it. We also rely on it for so many positive things. And then more so now, just with all the events of 2020, and suddenly it's like, oh wow, this is like, I think everyone can relate to this now. Of what if we didn't
Sure.
have the internet for an entire year? Like that would be a pretty big struggle.
Now, I also want to ask, judging by the trailer for the film, what is the kind of tone that you were going for? Because obviously, the idea of this small town losing, or not necessarily losing, but not having internet connection for one reason or another, and these kids kind of going in after it, was it like what was the tone that you were striving for? Is it like a comedy? Is it an adventure? Is it darker? Kind of what was the idea behind that?
I would definitely go with a bit more, kind of lighthearted adventure. And it was kind of a weird tone for this short, because the idea actually, my whole reason behind making this short was it's something that I would like to see developed into a larger project,
Sure.
like either a series or even a feature film. And so as I was creating this initial short, it was more of, how can I show, prospective networks, what we can do and what it could be like. But at the same time, it was like, how do I make it in a way that it could be both appealing to someone like Disney or Nickelodeon, and also appealing to someone like Netflix or Amazon Prime, and like, just to
Sure.
like make it very. So it was kind of a weird mix of a tone, I guess, because I wanted to make sure that any prospective studio or network could see its appeal and could see
Sure.
how it could be then shaped more toward what their audience is looking for.
Sure, totally understood. So is that the idea then? Like, do you envision this as like a series, like an
Oh
ongoing
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
series? That's
definitely. Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome. Well, then I guess I was spot on with the Stranger Things connection then, because I could totally see this playing well on a network as a series for
totally.
sure.
Yeah. I was definitely, I'm very, as a filmmaker myself, Stranger Things is definitely really high on my list. And I really thought it'd be cool to, make something that was set present day, but eventually, like if it became a series, would have lots of throwbacks to kind of the '80s vibe, because now they're kind of like thrown back, like in 2021, but they're thrown back to the '80s as far as no internet, kind of. So it's like,
Sure.
like we pull out like an old rotary phone, and like in this one, but I could see other things coming down the line if it were to become a series. So it's kind of like, you get to have those cool '80s and '90s elements, but still be set present day and not have the extraordinary expense of making it set in the '80s. So
Sure. No, I love that. I think that's a brilliant idea because I've sat around with my friends oftentimes because I was a kid of the 80s, right? So
yeah,
I
totally.
grew up pre-internet. And so what's weird though is because it has become such a like commonplace thing in our life. I can't
Mhm.
tell you how many times I've sat down with friends and been like, "Man, how did we like get through life before
Right,
this?" You know?
totally.
I I remember I have two preteen daughters, and I was talking to them the other day, and of course, you have GPS on your phone, right? Like they can
Yeah,
literally find how to get anywhere thanks to Google Maps. And they asked me, like straight up, no, like, no prompting. They were just like, Dad, how did you like get places beforehand? And I was like, well, kids, you know, let me break out my pipe and tell you about, when I was a young buck. I was like, we had to use maps, man. Like, and if there
right.
wasn't a map, like, you had to know how to read a map. I was like, I
Yeah,
remember in my car driving around and having like a spiral bound map that you essentially was like broken down into grids, and you would like have to find like, all right,
right,
so
right.
this street is in page 32 section A dash D, and I'd like flip to that and be like, okay. Um, and so I would imagine that with the concept of this film, those are some of the things that you would be approaching
Totally,
potentially
yeah.
down the road would be those like, because so many things are tied to that. I find that to
Yeah,
be a fascinating,
cool.
fascinating subject. Now, not to break away from no internet, but I know you said you kind of have several projects going on right now. What are some of the other things that people can kind of be on the lookout from you to
Yeah,
find?
totally. Yeah, I think so. Back in November of last year, I actually directed another little short film called Blue, And that was just kind of like something I did for fun. I just needed something else to submit to an application I was sending in for something. So I just kind of threw it together really quick. No budget whatsoever, but it's on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So people can find that and watch it if they want. And then I also just a couple weeks ago directed another short film called Marbles that a writer that I've worked with before wrote and asked me to direct for him. So that was kind of the same level of production value as No Internet. Brought back a lot of the same crew. So it was a really fun experience. And then I've got hopefully doing a feature actually later this summer. I've got a producer, pretty new producer that has asked me to direct a feature. So he's got a writer putting something together. It's going to be like a psychological thriller. And I don't really know much yet because it hasn't actually been written yet. But
Sure.
but we're pretty committed to having me direct that, and really excited to be part of that. So that's kind of coming down the line. So yeah, just pretty busy, and then hopefully No Internet becomes something bigger so that we can keep doing that too. So
I would absolutely love that. I would love to see more in this world for
totally.
sure. And I encourage everyone to absolutely go check out Lions Film Festival, check out No Internet from Kyle Lawrence. Now, where you mentioned the YouTube channel, where can people find you on YouTube? They just search your name.
I think just search for Kyle Lawrence, and I've
Okay.
come up pretty easily.
Perfect. Is there any other social media channels you would like people to follow you on?
I've got my Instagram, real Kallaw, or so RealKallaw. But that's out there. But yeah, Instagram or YouTube. You can probably find my YouTube pretty easy. So yeah.
Perfect. Everybody go check out Kyle Lawrence's YouTube channel. Make sure you check out No Internet, and make sure you check out more films from the Lions Film Festival. Again, I'm Q from Project Nerd, and we'll see you next time.
Cool. Thank you.